Welcome back to the Quick Save Podcast. I'm Josh.
I'm Alex.
And today is our first episode of No News November. That's right.
Boom, 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 boom.
Boom, no news. No news allowed. We didn't do news last month. We're not doing it this month. And I'll spoil it right now. We're not doing it next month either. No news 3 months, pretty much.
Basically. But for sure, no news November.
But for sure, no news this month. So instead, in November, we're going to be putting a lot of focus on the games and as well as kind of the community, talking about topics that we think are important that folks should know. But we're not going to talk about those topics today. Today, we're going to be talking about a video game we both put a lot of time in. My favorite of 2020, and Alex, one of your new favorites.
Yeah, I recently put a lot of time into it, like within the last month.
And that is Yakuza Like a Dragon, which came out November 10th on 2020. So what, like pretty much nearing like exactly 2 years ago.
Yep.
And then, this was developed by Ryoga Gotoku Studios, who have been doing Yakuza since like forever. So
yeah, if you're like me, this game is like fresh and brand new still, because I'm still playing games that are made in like the 90s.
And this, we'll give a little backstory here. Alex, you never played a Yakuza title before?
Nope.
I played a little bit of Zero before this, and then I played this, loved it, beat it, went back. I beat Zero, I beat Kiwami 1. I'm playing through Kiwami 2 slowly. But
my experience with Yakuza prior to this was going over to my friend's house and watching his older brother play Zero.
Yeah.
That's all the experience I had. I go, wow, that game looks interesting and cool. And
Zero's fun.
That was it.
Zero's really good. I like it in some way. It's definitely not my favorite, but it has its merits. But we're going to get into the nitty-gritty here. We're going to do, actually, 2 entire episodes. That's right. Normally, we only play games for a couple hours. We took the time. We had a bunch of time off, kind of recently, and so we played through this whole game. Or at least, Alex, you did. I played through maybe like a third of it and did a bunch of research on it.
Yeah, I am fairly proficient when it comes to RPGs and JRPGs, and so I was like, I can complete a JRPG in a month, and wow, that was a task. If you ever tried to have a timeline for playing out a JRPG, you realize that you're like, oh, I gotta complete 2, 3, 4 chapters in a day here if I want to keep like up with where I should be. I was very lucky though, knowing how JRPGs work, especially turn-based ones. I was able to really know where to grind, how to grind, what I should be doing. I need to buy items, I need to upgrade weapons, stuff like that. And I was able to do it within a month. So I got to experience, I would say, 85% of what the game had to offer.
Yes, and so you beat most of it. Like I said, I played through maybe, again, the first third of it recently and did a big deep dive on the story and everything. We're going to be doing 2 episodes. This episode is going to be all about the plot of the main game, which we are going to be getting not even just to heavy spoilers. We're literally going to talk about the entire story of the entire game, including some of the side missions, stuff like that. So
now's a good time if you would rather not know about this game. You're wanting to play it yet.
Yeah.
It's only 2 years old. I would say there's a good majority of people out there that still have yet to really dive into the Yakuza series as a whole, or even like just JRPGs. And this is a great place to start. So I would suggest, if you are planning on playing this, skip this episode, wait for the next ones to come out, and then come back to this one later.
Yeah, this game's honestly amazing. Yeah, if you go, man, I really want to play through that game, stop listening here. Listen to our gameplay episode at the end of the month when that comes out. We're gonna talk about the whole story, which is probably easily some of the better parts of the game is this intensely gripping story. Yeah, we're going to talk about the main story, sub-stories, cutscenes. We're going to discuss the sub, the original Japanese. We're going to talk about the dub, the English dub of the game, which they don't really do for the Yakuza games that much.
We had to look some stuff up because we were like, we barely have played it in English. Let's find out what that sounds like. Yeah, we both
played it in Japanese because we're... it's just... Look, man, that's how it's made. That's how you should play it, in my opinion.
This is why I say, if I play a Polish game and it's all in Polish, I'm going to play in Polish with subtitles. If I play an Austrian game and it's in, any language in Austria, I have no idea what they speak there.
Australian.
They speak Australian in Austria?
Yeah, it makes sense in the name.
Yes, okay. I'm gonna listen to it in that language, in the Australian language in Austria.
Crikey, my name's Ichiban Kosuga, and I'm here in Yokohama.
Oh gosh.
Yeah, but so we both played it mainly with the Japanese. There's an English dub, which is, we should note that at least because it does not happen. A lot of the games don't have it. They're just in Japanese.
Which I would say is a lot of JRPGs. There's just not an English dub for it. It's kind of a rare thing, honestly.
The Judgment games, Judgment and Lost Judgment, those both have English dubs. I think there's another one, because there's one where Mark Hamill played.
Is it 2?
Kiwami 2? Maybe, I don't know. There's one where Majima Goro was voiced by Mark Hamill, which is obviously notable in many ways. But yeah, we're going to go through the story. There's 15 chapters in this game. I'm literally just going to go 1 to 15, and then we're going to stop and talk. If there's something that jumps out, we'll stop and talk about it. So.
All right, I got to stop you right there. We got to talk about this already. No, go ahead.
Okay.
Go ahead.
We'll start with Chapter 1, Light and Shadow. So we meet Ichiban Kasuga. It's, 1999, something like that?
Yeah, 2000 is happening.
Yeah. Yes.
Y2K is happening.
Yes, yeah, it is New Year's 1999. So midnight tonight, it will be New Year, New Millennium. So Ichiban Kasuga, he was raised in a soapland in Kamurocho. Soapland is kind of like a
brothel.
Titty bar. It's like a Hooters.
It's more than that, but yes.
Yes. Okay, so Ichiban's born in a soapland in Kamurocho, which is a fictional town, very popular. It's literally the main town in most of the Yakuza games. He did not know his real parents. After his life is saved at the age of 15 by Masumi Arakawa, who is the patriarch of the Arakawa Yakuza family, Kasuga dedicates his life to serving the Arakawa family until the first day of the 21st century. Kasuga is asked by Arakawa to take the fall for Joe Sawashiro, who's a captain of the clan, for a murder that Sawashiro committed. Convinced that day has come for him to repay Arakawa, Kasuga happily obliges and he turns himself into the police. So, we'll get into it a little bit more in depth here. You go on a mission, you take out Arakawa's son, and there you're going to go to a hostess bar.
Yep.
And show him a good time, right?
It's his birthday.
It's his birthday, correct. It is his birthday. Happy birthday, Mr. Young Arakawa. We're taking him out to the hostess club. So, go to the hostess club. He wants to chill with this one specific girl. She's not available. She's chilling with some douche.
Yeah, it's his girlfriend in the story is what they say. It's his
right.
girlfriend.
Okay, so you go. She's chilling with some other old dude. You're like, hey, old dude, step off. He's like, I won't. So then, well, I think you fight him, right? Maybe you don't.
No, you don't fight him, but you do get in a good confrontation.
Yeah, you're like, bro, she's mine, right? So eventually, whatever, she goes and hangs out with Arakawa. You give gifts, something like that, right? They give gifts to her. Or
they buy like a ton of food and stuff.
Yeah, they get a bunch of food. They give like a watch and whatever, right?
The watch is like worth as much as a condo,
yeah,
like in Japan, which is insane.
Expensive watch, right? Kasuga goes to the bathroom and he overhears, in the bathroom, the hostess does not like Arakawa. So you were like, oh yeah, it's supposed to be like his girlfriend, right? She does not like Arakawa.
She says that he's creepy.
Yep. Also, I guess we should establish what he kind of looks like. Arakawa, the son, he cannot walk because of like...
He has a lung problem. So like when he was born, he had some...
He had some
defects happen
he had some organ failure due to like his environment at the time when he was a little baby, and so he still kind of has that. So yeah, he can't like breathe very well. He can't walk very well.
His lungs don't work that well and stuff. So it's not that he can't walk, just that he can't sustain himself.
Right. So he's in a wheelchair, stuff like that. But before you go to the hostess bar, he takes like a shot to kind of give him a stamina
Probably
boost.
like adrenaline or something.
Yeah, epinephrine or something like that. Yeah, something to get him going, right? So you're in the bathroom, you hear the hostess, she's like, I don't like Arakawa, he's creepy. And you're like, oh, I'm going to get out of here and let the boss know that, man, maybe we should find somewhere else, right? Turn around, guess who's standing there? It's Arakawa. He heard the whole thing. That sucks. He's upset by it. I think he gives Ichi a bunch of money.
Yeah, he goes, here, pay off the tab and go wipe your ass, is what he says.
Yep. And so he leaves. And now now we get to see a little bit more Arakawa. This stuff's going to be important later, right? Arakawa, he's trying to make back to his wheelchair, which they parked outside. And when he falls or stumbles, he's sitting on the ground. And then some dudes come yell at him or antagonize him or something like that, right? They're like, oh, the homeless bum on the ground, let's get him, right? Something like that.
The whole time he's like, don't look at me. He's like crawling. He's just so prideful that he just will not give in.
Yep. So he's crawling around. whatever, right? Okay, so then
All that pride.
right, Ichiban wakes up the next day. He's passed out in a public park. Cop's like, yo,
Get up.
get up, bro. You got to go home, man.
For those that are not familiar with like Japanese policing, they are like super like just like kind essentially. They're very like these are the rules, stay within them and you're fine. But like if you're like drunkenly walking around, they'll take you back to like your hotel and stuff. If it's like close by. They're like, no. You're not going out into society.
So, yeah, Ichiban wakes up. Cop's like, you got to go. He's like, okay, I'll go. He's like, I need your ID. He doesn't have his ID.
He gets a call.
Yeah, he gets a call. Calls from the family.
He's
hey,
like, you gotta come home. You need stay on the down low.
You need to be here ASAP. So you make your way to the family clan headquarters, and then these Yakuza dudes, they come and they're like, who are you? And you're like, oh, I'm just like a guy with the Arakawa family or whatever. And they're like, kill him. So then you fight these dudes. You make it back home.
And for reference, the Arakawa family,
it's a pretty small time.
Small time family.
It is not. So they're part of the
Tojo clan.
They're part of the Tojo clan, but yeah, they're pretty small time. They're not like big, holy crap, top clan, right?
I would say they're like near the bottom of the totem pole, kind of.
Yeah, definitely lower half. So you make it home, and then he's like, hey, Sawashiro shot and killed a member of this clan who is fighting you. We need you to take the fall. And so Ichiban thinks this is his way of replaying when he was 15. Arakawa came and saved him from being beaten up by gangsters. Arakawa had to cut off one of his fingers to save Ichiban as a teen. So he goes, okay, me going to jail for 15 years, this is my way to repay that debt.
Talk about loyalty.
Yeah, pretty much.
Being like, you saved my life, I'll give up 15 years of it just to make sure, like,
just to make it right.
Good.
Yeah, just to make it right. So he gets banished from the clan. He goes to his favorite beef bowl restaurant.
He has his last meal.
He eats 2 beef bowls, and he eats 2 beef bowls, and he says, should I get a third one? He goes, excuse me, sir, should I get another bowl? And he goes, well, if you like it, you should get another one. He goes, I will. I'll get he eats a third beef bowl. This is going to be my last meal for a while. Third beef bowl. And I'll be honest, the beef bowls look really yummy. So
all the food looks really good in the show.
Okay. Boom. End of chapter 1. Chapter 2 is called Bloody Reunion. I'm not going to read the paragraph right away because I'm going to start a little earlier than that. Okay, you play as Kasuga in prison. These dudes are like, oh, you're a part of Tojo clan. We don't like them. Guys go to beat him up.
Some hotshot Yakuza you're in jail, blah, blah, blah.
Right, yeah, they're making fun of him, going to beat him up. So they go to the supply closet to get some stuff to clean up, and they trash talk his boss, his patriarch, Masumi Arakawa. They're like, Arakawa sucks, and you're a crappy Yakuza, and you suck. So, well, Ichiban's pretty calm and level-headed, so what's he do? He beats them up until they don't have any teeth anymore. Great. That'll sure look good on your sentence. So his sentence gets extended. So it's going to be 15 years. So what, he got arrested 2000, be 2015, right? So his sentence gets extended to 2019. Ouch. That sucks, right? But they put him in solitary confinement. Also, people respect him now because he beat the crap out of like 4 people. But so he gets out of prison. It's 2019. He got a letter. No, sorry. I think it was 2000 was when the game started. So I think he got arrested in 2001.
Yeah, because he spent 18 years in jail.
He spent 18 years in jail. So he gets out in 2019. So he got a letter from Arakawa. Arakawa was like, essentially the letter kind of implies, I'll be waiting for you on the outside. Thank you for doing this.
Stay strong, Ichi, I think is what he ended with.
Yeah. And so he's banished from the clan. Obviously, he can't be in the clan anymore. If you're in prison, not a good look for the clan. So he was banished from the clan and then turned himself in as a civilian, got arrested.
And then Arakawa had promised him, I will make this right. You will be brought back to the family, essentially, is what the promise was for going.
Which I'll keep mentioning this, literally the plot of the first Yakuza. Is literally like Kiryu gets arrested and they banish him from the clan, but they're like, well, we'll just take you back into the clan when you get out of jail. So he goes to the door, they open the door, he's free, he's a free man. The first thing he does, he bows his head and says, like, oh my gosh, Arakawa, like, thank you, I'm ready to like, serve in the clan and for the family, and I thank you, and I'm so sorry that it took this long. And then he stands up and he looks around.
No one.
Arakawa is not there.
It is a ghost town.
Yes. And then there's some hotshot police officer, looks like he's never shaved a day in his life, and his name is Adachi. And he's like, oh, hey, you there. I'm doing a little investigation into this whole Arakawa family business, and you're free to do whatever, but just know I'm pretty much going to be following you the entire time, so just keep that in mind.
My favorite part of like this all this interaction is that the entire time that he's like bowing his head and Adachi shows up, the guard has just been like super chill with Kasuga the entire time, and he's just like, sorry, bud.
Yeah, I was gonna say he says sorry. He's like, sorry. I guess he didn't show up, right?
Yeah, he's just super nice to Kasuga because Kasuga's like, I've been like super good.
Yeah,
But like they disrespected my patriarch, right? So I got to beat him up.
Yeah, he like beat those guys up like, whatever, 15 years ago.
But he was like, he's always been like super polite to like the cops and everything in there and the guards. So they're just like, I'm sorry, bud. That has to hurt.
So Adachi kind of fills him in. Hey, here's what it looks like.
The Tojo clan fell.
So there's the 3K plan, right? The Kamurocho 3K plan, which it stands for something. It's like 3Ks. It was like kill, clean, whatever, right? So essentially they have this plan to get rid of the Yakuza once for all, right?
I think it was like the clean up the trash is what they were like, the police were calling it. Like, we're going to clean it up.
Exactly. So the Tojo clan has perished. Kamurocho now belongs to the Omi Alliance. Kind of insane, right? I haven't played through all the other Yakuza games, so that might just be a thing like, sure, right? Like if I play through Yakuza 6, it might be like, yeah, Omi Alliance just takes over legitimately and it's fine, right? But like, yeah, so Tojo clan, which has been the main clan in every Yakuza game since, 1, it's like, yeah, it don't exist anymore. The Omi Alliance, who we've always been led to believe those are the bad guys, right? Omi Alliance took over, and who helped them? Arakawa family. They were playing both sides. Arakawa was actually like an insider for the Omi Alliance. So part of the 3K plan is the Omi Alliance and the like police force and like the government took down the Tojo clan. They were all kind of in on it together was kind of the idea, right? Obviously, Ichiban does not believe that, and he demands they go to the graveyard. And he goes to the graveyard and he dusts off the grave of the guy that Sawashiro killed. Yep, Sawashiro killed. And so he dusts off the grave, and Adachi's like, you didn't kill him, just like tell me who killed him. But then he sees Arakawa going along, and the whole Arakawa family, which is like a ton of guys now. It's not like
huge.
It's not like some small time family. He's surrounded by like 50 dudes in suits. He sees them going by, and Arakawa bows at the grave of former Omi Alliance chairman. And so Kasuga goes over and he's like, hey, it's me, right? And all the Yakuza dudes beat him up because they're like, dude, get the hell out of here. You're not part of the Arakawa family. Get out of here, man.
Also at this time, Kasuga believes that Arakawa's son, his young master, his Waka, as he says.
He died, right?
He died.
Yeah. That was the other
due
thing.
to his illness.
He visited the grave because his son died, too. Yeah, so the young master also died. So you break into the Arakawa family headquarters, beat the crap out of some dudes, all the way to have a meeting with Mr. Arakawa, your patriarch. And how does he thank you?
You show up, you bust in.
Yeah, you beat
Arakawa, I have returned.
Yeah, you beat up Sawashiro, all these dudes, bust in, you say, Arakawa, I've returned.
Everyone's like, who is this guy? Arakawa stands up and he goes, it's okay. He's one of my people. And he goes, Ichi, it's good to see you.
Bang, 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 bang.
But I need you to die.
Yeah, he blasts you. Boom, end of chapter. Chapter 3, the town at rock bottom. No longer in Kamurocho.
No longer with Adachi.
Wake up in
a homeless camp.
In Yokohama, another fictional town of Isekai Isenjo, which is, again, not a real place. It's based on a real place, but it's
Yokohama is real.
Yokohama is
Ichijo that is not.
Yeah, Ijincho is not real. You're laying there, you're in your nice suit, you get a bullet hole in it, but then you also find a crisp dollar bill in your jacket pocket. That was another parting gift from your patriarch. You got this weird dollar bill in there. You get shot, but thankfully this dude in the homeless camp, his name's Namba, he takes care of you. And so now Kasuga is alive. Ichiban's alive. That's great. But he has no money. He has nowhere to go.
Literally living on the welfare of the homeless.
Yes, literally as low as it goes.
When you start living on what the homeless can give to you, I don't think
you've got like
there's a lower point.
You've got a group of homeless people who are all like, I'll help you out. Yeah, you're kind of at the bottom, right? So you go out, try and get some jobs. They go to Hello Work, which is like a temp agency, right? Like a job finding agency. They get some work for a local barmaid. Her name's Hamako. And she As long as they clean the place up and help out around the place, she gives them a roof over their head to sleep above.
Hamako's like this 55-year-old
She's an old lady who runs a bar.
old lady, but she's like gangster old lady, so she's like bleached her hair. She's wearing like a leather jacket.
Yeah, she got like a
tracksuit
tracksuit jacket on. Yeah, she's pretty cool. So she gives you a place to stay, which is great. We like that. All right, pretty easy filler chapter there. Chapter 4, Dragon of Yokohama. Kasuga, Namba, and now Adachi, who's been fired for doing this investigation into
he was dishonorably discharged.
Well, I mean, what this is like a 18-year-old case or whatever. Right?
Yeah.
Like Ichiban got arrested 18 years ago. It's kind of an 18-year-old cold case where they already know who did it. But obviously, Ichiban did not actually kill the guy. So, right, Adachi had his heart in the right place. So, they're all three of them hanging out. They need jobs. And finally, they get hired to work at a soap land. His name is, I might mispronounce this, Nonomiya.
That sounds right. Nonomiya.
So Nonomiya is like, hey, one of my employees went missing. I need to know what happened to her. Please find out. So they find out that this guy from the Seiru clan is the local Yakuza clan in Yokohama. They find out that that she's being scammed. I think this is the chapter where you infiltrate the hospital, right?
Yep.
To find out what's going on with her.
So you infiltrate the
Sunlight
Castle, which is a retirement home. But the thing is that like your standard care is like 1,000,000 yen a month.
Yeah, it's like a big scam by the Yakuza.
And then
to
like
make money.
The executive like gold standard care, which is like the one that you would want your parents to live if they had to live in a home, is like 2 or 3 million yen a month.
Yeah,
it's like a 5 million yen deposit.
Yeah, it's insane. So,
which, like, for context, it's like $500,000 or something dumb.
Yeah, so it's like insane. She's getting scammed hard. Eventually, you go beat up the entire Yakuza clan, which is great, right? You just got hired. He's like, hey, something's up with my employee. Can you go find out what's up with her? Oh, she's getting scammed by a Yakuza clan. What am I going to do? I'm going to go beat up the entire Yakuza clan and tell them to stop scamming her. So
I'm a man with 2 other men, and I am going to take down this criminal organization that the police can't deal with.
Single-handedly, because my boss needs his employee back. So you go beat up all the Yakuza. You meet with the chairman, Hoshino, who's an old man. And you're like, hey, this lady, can you stop scamming her, please? And he's like, I mean, you kind of beat up all my guys, and that shows a lot of, like, gumption, so... Sure, that's fine. You're cool with me.
Also, I want to point out, Kasuga was just like, can I just have a conversation with your chairman? And they're like, absolutely not. He goes, I literally just want to talk with the guy.
He's like, I'm going to beat all of you up, but also I literally just need to talk to your boss.
He's like, we can avoid this. Let me go talk to him. And they're like, no. And so he proceeds to beat up the entire clan. And he gets to the chairman. He goes, I did ask just to talk to you before this all happened.
So... Great job. Mission completed, Kasuga Ichiban. You go back to your boss to report, hey, we figured out what's up with your employee. We got it all figured out. You show up. What happened? He's dead.
He dead.
Super dead.
I say he dead.
The man's hung himself. Except he did not. He definitely did not.
It appears that he hung himself. But there's more to this story.
Yeah, the mystery deepens. Right? So now he committed suicide, which he seemed like a fine, cheery dude, right? Like, it definitely didn't seem like he was on the brink of suicide.
He also owned, like, the last operating soap land in the area.
Yeah.
And so, like,
it's very...
people were talking, they're like, he could have sold that for millions.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. People wanted to get rid of it. Yeah, like...
People want to get rid of it. People want to keep it open because it makes tons of money.
Yeah, it's not like he had no enemies. So, very mysterious. Okay, so, end of chapter. Now we're on to the Lumang Man, chapter 5. You meet up after the funeral for Nonomiya. You meet Saiko. And she's the employee's sister.
Yeah, they mistake her at first because guess what? They're twins.
They're twins. Oh my gosh, you're the sister we saved. She's like, no, I'm not. I'm her sister. Oh my gosh. She works for a different cabaret club that was also owned by your boss, but she was kind of like management. She like manages another cabaret club.
Yeah, she after all this ordeal, you get to talk with her a bit, and you find out like she's kind of become like what they call like the mama, which is like the head of the cabaret club.
Yeah, she runs the cabaret club. So she meets up with you guys. She's like, "Hey, I think this whole thing is pretty suspicious," and you're like, "That's crazy. We think that too."
Why do you say that?
And so she thinks it was staged suicide by Mabuchi, who is part of the Lu Meng, which is like a Chinese gang in the area.
Yeah, and in Chinese they call him Lao Ma, is what they...
Lao Ma. They do call him Lao Ma. It's like you're searching for this Lao Ma character.
Which I think they explained. I think they said that it means like the boss or like
something like
the
that.
grandest or something like
Right.
that.
So now you need to find this Mabuchi character. Psycho joins the party. That's great. Now you're going to go find Mabuchi in the Chinatown part of Yokohama. And they get hired at a warehouse that is owned by Mabuchi. But they discover that it's actually just like a front and that the warehouse is full of Chinese mobsters, essentially.
And they're printing, what was the Chinese currency called?
Yuan.
Yuan?
I don't know if it's still yuan, but yes,
That's what they're printing, though.
they're printing money. Thinks back to the dollar bill that was put in Ichiban's jacket. Anyways, you get find out and kidnapped in the warehouse, bringing us to Chapter 6, Ignition. It's the remakes to Ignition, hot and fresh out the kitchen.
Oh!
Mama rolling that body. Got every man in here wishing. I'm like, so what? I'm drunk. About to have me some fun. It's the freaking weekend, baby. Ignition. All right, so Casca and everybody gets kidnapped. You're strung up. You're chained up to the ceiling, right? And these dudes are beating the crap out of you. They got a bunch of torture instruments. They're gonna torture you a whole bunch because you saw stuff you wasn't supposed to see. And then Mabuchi is essentially using you to create a crack in what they call the Great Wall of Muscle.
Yeah,
which
he's
is
staging a confrontation, essentially.
yes. So he wants to cause issues because essentially, and we'll learn more about this later. You've got the Ijin 3, which is the Lu Meng, which is the Chinese gang. Then you've got the Seiru clan, which is the Japanese gang.
Yep.
And then you have the Gomijul, which is the Korean mafia.
So, to give context, we've met all of the clans by now, because the first clan we met was the Gomijul, because they were stealing power, and that's how we met Hamako.
Yep.
Then we had to face off against the Seiru clan.
Yep.
And now we're dealing with Lu Meng.
Yep. So we met all three of them. And now this is kind of a power grab. I've got Ichiban. I've got these Soapland guys. I'm going to take over this Soapland, and I'm going to expand Lu Meng territory, causing an issue, right? So with the delicate power balance between the Seiru clan, Yokohama Lu Meng, and Jomijul, it's only going to be a matter of time before either cops show up or something happens, and it's bad for everyone, right? So the boss, Lu Meng, Zhao advises Akatsuka that the only way to stop impending chaos is to get intel from the Jomijul.
They have to prove that Mabuchi actually was like behind all this planning to like break down the Great Wall.
Yeah, Mabuchi will be around for like most of the story still.
And like Zhao's got like a gun to like, it's the captain of the Seiru clan. He's like, I'll do it.
Yeah, so
like,
essentially you
prove it or he's dead.
Yeah, you need to prove to Zhao, the leader of the Lu Meng, prove that my dude is trying to overthrow all this stuff, and then we'll be good.
Also, Zhao is like my favorite side character in the entirety of the game.
We'll talk more about him later.
But to give context, he's a younger guy.
Yeah,
really.
he's kind of young. He's kind of in charge of the Lu Meng, but he's kind of a younger guy.
Yeah, so like we have a lot of questions right away at first. So we're like, oh, whoa, this guy is the leader.
Yeah, he doesn't seem like the leader, right?
He's got the captain at gunpoint, and he's kind of crazy. Okay, we need to go find this like information right now.
So, Chapter 7, the Spider's Web referring to the Gomijul that we're going to go visit.
Yeah, their surveillance network. It's called the Spider Web.
Yeah. So, Casca and everybody, they sneak into the Jomijul, who have this, huge information network. Again, lots of similarities, in my opinion, to Kiwami 1. You literally meet with this guy who is, like, the information broker for all of Kamurocho. So, you go meet with the Korean Mafia, and you meet Sung Hui, she's this lady who's in charge of the whole thing. She's got purple hair, right?
She's got cool. Purple hair.
She's cool.
I was a little sad that we didn't get to like add her to the party.
That would have been cool if she was more involved.
She was definitely needed elsewhere in the story.
Yep. You break in, fight some dudes, standard stuff, and then she gives you information. She says, "Hey, here is solid evidence that links Mabuchi to Nanomiya's murder." Boom, done, did it, right?
Got it.
But then also you get information about Nanba. What? Your own party member?
Namba, the guy that saved us because he has nursing skills?
Yeah, he's our friend, right? Well, he's homeless, right? Well, he voluntarily became homeless to find clues about the whereabouts of his younger brother after he was taken by the Jomijul.
I don't want to spoil too much about Namba if you play the game, but his backstory, crazy.
It's pretty wacky.
I never expected what they did with Namba.
Yep.
Like,
So
I can guess a lot. Could not see that coming.
So after this chapter, Namba leaves. He's like, yes.
No.
Yeah, he's like, yes, I did it just so I could. I joined up with you guys just so I could infiltrate the Jomijul, and I wanted to learn about my brother. I'm out. I was found out. They're not going to tell me about my brother. They don't want to tell him about his brother. He leaves. Chapter 8, Bleached Black. Now we're going to talk about, before I step into this, we're going to talk a little bit about Bleach Japan, because they're going to become kind of an important thing here. There's this group called Bleach Japan, who in Yokohama, they are trying to, quote, bleach out the gray parts of the city. So stuff like soaplands and cabaret clubs.
And gambling areas.
Yes, so they want all the like seedy parts of town, they want to drive those out. And so
the parts that you may connect with like underhand criminal activity.
Exactly. So they want to drive all this stuff out, and this group was founded by Governor Ryo Aoki, who we'll hear a lot more about him later. But so Bleach Japan, what they do is they go to a place and they protest, and they have these signs, and they essentially just protest your place by standing outside, forcing no business to come in, and then you go out of business, and then they buy up the property and sell it to whatever, right? So that's Bleach Japan's whole
They like turn into office buildings or something.
Yeah,
that's
I don't
like
know.
their like main MO.
Grocery stores or boutiques or whatever, right? The Great Wall can maintain peace. The Yokohama doesn't need to fight the Seiru clan. Seiru clan doesn't need to fight anyone. We're all good. We proved that Mabuchi was being a dick. We're good, right? Except we're not good. So yeah, you find that they were able to maintain the peace because of the counterfeit bail printing operation, which was been supported by the local politician. Ogi Kubo is his name. So he's kind of been supporting the counterfeiting production. So the Omi Alliance uses Bleach Japan to bring this fact to light. They essentially, Bleach Japan proves, boom, we have all this information that this local politician for Yokohama, he has been doing counterfeiting with the Korean mafia. So then all of you guys have to break into the main office of Bleach Japan, where they learn the founder is the current governor, Ryo Aoki. And then now Ichiban, we've heard a little bit about the governor. Ichiban looks at a photo of Ryo Aoki, and he goes, holy crap.
He should be dead.
That's Arakawa's son. The governor of Japan is Arakawa's son. His name's not Ryo Aoki. His name's freaking...
Matsumo Arakawa.
Masato. His name's
Masato Arakawa. Or Arakawa Masato.
Yeah, that's freaking Masato Arakawa. All right, so Chapter 9. Now that he... years ago, he abandoned the identity of Masato. It became Ryo Aoki.
Yeah, he was in America for a while.
Yep, so he left, went to America. Then he got... treatment over there, right, to fix his lung stuff.
He got a lung transplant.
Yep, so he got all his stuff fixed, and now he can walk and be like a normal, chill dude. Kasuga suspects that him being governor of Japan is just like a front, that he's going to use this to like further his own goals, right? So then Omi Alliance members that are disguised as Bleach Japan protesters, they infiltrate the Jomijul to reveal the counterfeit bill printing facility. Kasuga and everybody fights him off.
Yeah, they're trying to buy some time because they're burning down the spider web.
Correct. They burn down the whole operation so that way it can never be proven. Boom, there you go. On to Chapter 10. After interrogating the delegate for Bleach Japan, it's confirmed that Aoki and Arakawa are the same person, and also that the Omi Alliance has been funding the governor and his mandate for their invasion of Yokohama. When a coup d'etat breaks out within the Great Wall of Muscle, Kasuga fights to stop the conflict with Namba, who came back.
Yay!
And then Jun Gihan, who is the second in command for the Jomijul.
I want to put in here as well that, we're in Chapter 10 now. To give you, like, a perspective of how far in the game we are, I would say this is about 40 hours in if you're, like, actually, like, doing all the side stuff and everything as well.
Yeah, it's probably, if you want to do everything, it's hundreds of hours for sure. But if you wanted to relatively do everything, probably like 80 to 100 hours would be my guess.
Yeah, this is, I would say we're around like the 40 to 50-hour mark of gameplay.
Okay, so then a dude shows up, this Yakuza dude, and you know him from your past. He used to be a guy who worked under you at the Arakawa family. He says, hey, Arakawa's going to need strong allies for what's coming next. What's coming next? You say Chapter 11, that's what's coming next.
Oh! Also, I want to point out, before we move on here, at no point in this did, like, he say, you are that strong ally. Ichiban was just like, oh yeah, that's me.
Yep.
And I was like, oh no, I think I'm going to get duped.
Yep. Okay, so the governor visits Yokohama, and Kasuga jumps at the opportunity to meet him. During their meeting, Kasuga is shocked to learn that he had not taken the fall for Sawashiro 18 years ago. He'd taken the fall for Masato Arakawa. Boom. Now it's revealed. On that fateful night years ago, on New Year's, all those people were like beating him up and making fun of Masato Arakawa because he couldn't walk. So what'd he do? He shot that guy who was making fun of him in the head.
Because the entire, like, interaction with him, he's like, that's a fake gun. You ain't, even if it was really, you don't have guts.
And
he's
he
like
did.
antagonizing him, like, with a gun pointing straight at him. He's like, you ain't gonna do nothing. You ain't gonna do nothing. And then finally he's just like, click, bang. And it was like, oh, dang. Like, that was such a serious moment.
Yeah, young master just straight up killed a dude. And so then he called Sawashiro and was like, Sawashiro, holy crap, I killed this dude. Sawashiro shows up. Then they make it seem, okay, like Sawashiro killed the dude, and then, yeah, you take the fall for Sawashiro. He meets the governor, Ryo Aoki, and Aoki warns Kasuga to never go near the father, Masumi Arakawa. He says, never go near my father again.
Or him.
And he says, I don't want you visiting me. I don't want you visiting my dad. Get the hell out of my face, right? So then, obviously, Ichiban's like, no, that's bullshit. I'm going to do what's right and fight for Yokohama, right? So, Chapter 12, the end of the Yakuza. Hearing that Arakawa was headed for Osaka, Kasuga and his party follow them, and not only do they find him, but they also find Daigo Dojima, who is an important character in the whole entire Yakuza story. Daigo and all these other Tojo clan dudes who have been planning to dissolve the Yakuza as they knew it, right? So that's the whole plan, is they want to get rid of the Yakuza, period. So agreeing to their plan, Ichiban clashes with the opposing side in a fierce battle, but after the smoke clears, the dissolution of the Omi Alliance is officially declared, and Kasuga makes his return to Yokohama alongside Arakawa. Boom. Tojo clan and Omi Alliance both agree to just disband the full thing. No more Yakuza.
These are, families, or, what the Japanese media would say is crime families. They're crime families that have been around for, like, over 100 years. So them, like, dissolving is, like, a huge power vacuum issue.
Okay, now we're going to get to one of the most important chapters in the entire game. Chapter 13, Coin Locker Baby.
This is, like, probably by far the longest chapter of them all.
Okay. Kasuga's overtaken by grief because you just met up with Arakawa, right? Now that you've met and you're working together, now you guys can talk about, holy crap, I missed you for 18 years, and I'm so sorry about what happened. Cut short, he gets murdered.
All before that, like, he's like, I'm glad you're back in my life. And you're like, this is all Ichi wanted.
Let's finally go to that restaurant, get some Peking duck, right?
Yeah.
Let's go.
And, like, everything was looking up. He was going to, like, help, like, the ex-Yakuzas, like, find a good path in life. He was going to be around. That was the thing. Is like, he was going to be around and Ichi could just be with him and do whatever he wanted with him. Yeah,
because he's more than, obviously, he saved Ichi's life, but it's more than that. Ichi also views him as, like, a father figure.
Yeah, he helped raise Ichi a ton, besides, like, the guy at the soap land.
Yep.
So, I mean, like, this is incredible for Ichi. This is, like, the highest of highs for him.
So, anyways, he gets murdered.
And the lowest of lows.
Kasuga's upset, obviously. Feels a lot of grief over this. He knows, obviously, the murderer could not be anyone other than Ryo Aoki.
Yeah, he's thrown into a blind rage by this, too.
Yep.
Which is super unlike him.
In order to make contact with Aoki again, because obviously he's not going to come back to Yokohama. We know that he's not going to come back to Yokohama now that he knows Ichi's there. Kasuga has to register himself as a candidate to run in the political race. So he's going to try and win, like, a local political seat because the governor is forced to come out and shake his hand.
Of all the funniest things that has happened within this story, This part of the story is by far the funniest to me. The fact that they're like, go find someone to run this race, and then they're at the end of it, they're just like, you're gonna run it.
So, then who shows up but Mr. Joe Sawashiro, who is captain of the Arakawa family. And Sawashiro reveals some very important information. He says, you heard the story about... Did we talk about the story at all?
No, we didn't.
Okay, so in chapter 1, you hear this story from Arakawa. Arakawa says, I was seeing this woman. She had my baby. Except this rival clan, they wanted me to marry the daughter of the clan to unite the clans.
Yep, it was a big merge, which is like super, like, if you say no to that, you basically declare war.
Yeah, they're unhappy with that, right? So they're like, you need to marry my daughter. He's like, I'm not going to marry your daughter. So then all the Yakuza chases after his wife or whatever, his girlfriend who had the baby. So she's running away. She runs to a bus stop and she puts the baby in a coin locker. And then Arakawa shows up. He grabs the baby from the coin locker. And that's why the son has these lung issues, right? Is because he was put in this cold coin locker for for a baby, right? Like a couple hours, right? Like this is a very cold place to store a
Yeah,
baby.
we also learned that, like, later they talk about, and she went to the hospital, left because she knew her life was in danger, gave birth at the soap land,
Yep.
and then put the baby in the locker.
Yep. So this is not like a baby who's been alive for like 3 months. This is like brand new.
This is like it's been an
Fresh.
hour.
Yeah, baby.
Freshly baked bun.
Freshly
straight
baked
out
bun.
the oven.
Straight out the oven, exactly. And so he gets the baby. Baby has these lung issues because it was in a cold locker. Yes. So that's chapter 1. We know that information, right? And so that is Ryo Aoki. Until chapter 13, when you find out Joe Sawashiro reveals a fight ensues between Kasuga and Sawashiro, which ends in Sawashiro's defeat. Upon defeat, he tells Kasuga that Aoki ordered him to kill Arakawa, but he refused. So Sawashiro, who we thought was the assassin who killed Arakawa, did not. Not because Arakawa was his patriarch, but because of a reason he never told anyone else. He first encountered Arakawa years ago. At age 15, Sawashiro was wandering the streets with no future and an alcoholic father waiting for him at home. He entered a relationship with a girl whose name he cannot remember.
Or he chooses not to. In the story, like, as you're watching it, you're like, he basically is just like, I don't want to remember that time. Not that he doesn't. It, like, you can tell that.
Right. So I was going to say, sorry, I was just reading because she has a page on the wiki. She's got a page on the wiki, the lady who had Ryo Aoki. But yeah, okay. So he entered a relationship with, and they had a child. By the time he learned about the child, it was too late. They could not have an abortion. They were hoping for a miscarriage, but the baby was born in a department store bathroom while Sawashiro was working a construction job. With no adult guidance, they decided to ignore their baby and put him in a coin locker.
They decided that parenting was not for them. It was a lot of Sawashiro telling the girl, like, this is for the best.
Yeah.
We are not fit parents. It's better to not bring a child in.
Yes. They get into an argument, whatever. They put the baby in the locker. She tells them they get into an argument. They go back to get the baby, or at least see what's up. Sawashiro's partner goes to retrieve the baby, but they arrive and they see Arakawa take the baby. And then that baby was the baby that was named Masato Arakawa. And so they felt it was for the better. Okay, this will give this baby the best chance at life and succeeding, right?
But here's a question. Why and how did he know there was a baby in the locker? And why did he take it?
Because that's what he was told, right?
No.
He was not told.
Or a better way to explain this is that on Arakawa's side is that his girlfriend had said, I put the baby in the locker. So no one expected there to be 2 babies in the lockers.
Yep. Okay, so later on, obviously, he sees Arakawa and his son walking around. He becomes a Yakuza, obviously, to kind of get closer to his son in some ways, keeping this secret with him. But Sawashiro states he and his partner stood there wondering why a Yakuza saved their baby, but then they saw Jiro Kasuga take a baby from an adjacent coin locker. Yeah, so that's him, right? That's Ichiban.
So Arakawa's in locker 99, Ichiban, locker 100.
Yep. And so they suspect that Arakawa's wife told Jiro where the baby was as a backup, just in case, right? So
in case things went wrong, because, hey, there's guys gunning down for these 2, right?
Yep. And so Sawashiro says he had no future after refusing an order from Aoki and suspects he was ordered suspects he was ordered to do something risky, like killing Hoshini, because he saw Sawashiro as disposable. And so that's kind of where the story ends. There's, there were 2 babies in the lockers. The baby that was taken was not actually Arakawa's son.
It was Sawashiro's.
It was Sawashiro's son. And then the other baby who was taken to the soap land was Ichiban. And that more than likely actually was Arakawa's son. So you kind of find out, episode 13, holy crap. You know that guy who just died? That was your dad. Holy crap.
Yeah, not only was he your patriarch, he was your patriarch. He
was
literally
like
was your father.
He was like legitimately your father. So chapter 14, Kasuga almost loses himself to his anger towards Aoki until the legend himself, this is what I'm not making that up, that's what the wiki says, until the legend himself, Kazuma Kiryu, arrives and brings him back to his senses with a amazing fight.
So prior to this, I've never played another Yakuza game.
I told Alex a million times, I said, have you gotten to the part with Kiryu yet? He goes, Kiryu? I don't know who that is. And I point to every other Yakuza game, and I say, that guy. He goes, no, I haven't yet. I said, okay, let me know when you get there. He's the most badass dude on planet Earth.
And I was like, I'm sure he's like badass and fun, but like, he can't be that badass. Oh my god.
He is. He is that badass. I told you.
The legend. The wiki is right. The legend.
The legend himself, Kazuma Kiryu.
I known him like in story context for all of like 10 minutes basically, and all I can think about is, man, I need to know more about this guy.
Cool. He's cool. So after the fight, Kasuga learns that this guy Ishioda, an officer of the Omi Alliance, has snuck into Yokohama. And since he's likely responsible for issuing the order to assassinate Arakawa, Kasuga goes to infiltrate his hideout. There he learns that the one who actually took Arakawa's life is a officer of the Omi Alliance. His name is Tendo, and he's a boxer.
Woo!
Shortly after that, bombs that had been set up by Tendo explode, and Kasuga's caught in the explosion.
Yeah, this is like
You're
huge.
at the end. You're at the end. Yeah, pretty much, right? Okay, so Chapter 15, To the Pinnacles. Kasuga is spared yet again as he narrowly escapes the blast. Kasuga lures out Tendo and exacts vengeance. Aoki appears afterwards and the final showdown unfolds. Kasuga rises victorious. Right as Aoki has a change of heart, he goes, holy crap, what have I been fighting for this whole time? Wow, Ichiban, you were right. His life is taken by Kume, who is the head of Bleach Japan that he had been kind of like fostering and being like, oh, you need to run Bleach Japan, and you need to be cutthroat, and you need to do it this way. He has a change of heart, and he's killed by the people that he taught, essentially, to follow in his footsteps. The curtains not only descend on Aoki's life, but also on his ambitions with the Omi Alliance. Kasuga, deciding not to return to Kamurocho nor Osaka, swears to live the rest of his days in Yokohama.
I can't stress enough how big the symbolism is in the first chapter and in the last chapter. I went back real quick and just redid the first chapter before we did the podcast here, and it's staggering how much, like, they're like, this little bit from Arakawa in the beginning and from Sawashiro in the beginning makes it all the way to the very end.
Yep.
Ichiban tells Aoki, we are the light in the shadow.
Yep.
And how the hell did you end up so screwed up? And like literally chapter 1 is the light in the shadow.
Yep.
And
yeah, because it's you and him, like going on the whole New Year's thing.
Yep. There's just no way we can do the justice of the symbology that they put forth in all this.
And we were talking about this before, but I was talking about how the symbolism between Arakawa and his son, quote unquote, right? Where here's Arakawa, who's this ruthless, cutthroat, assassin, Yakuza mob boss who, chapter 1, Ichiban has to get money for the family, right? And Ichiban's literally giving the family like his own money that he got from the bank, right? That he's pulling from his account, or that he got in a loan or whatever, right? And normally, they'd beat the crap out of you if you were Yakuza and you did that. But instead, like, Arakawa's like, hey man, let's go get some food, talk about it over lunch, and
you can give me your reasons and I'll see if they're justified.
Yeah, he's like, we'll talk about it and go from there, right? And he kind of raised his family with love in a way, in that he took care of the people who mattered the most to him. And so then we see that when 18 years later, here's Ichiban, who's like ready to do anything just to meet back up with Arakawa and get back in the good graces of the family, right? So Then, now, flip side, that's the light. Here's the shadow. Ryo Aoki has this quote, he's supposed to be this governor, right? Here's this public protector in a way of like the people all look up to him and he makes important decisions for the entire country, right? He has this group called Bleach Japan, okay? And so here's this guy who's supposed to be vendor, helping all the people out, doing good things for the country, and he makes his group Bleach Japan, and he raises them in a way where it's so clinical. He forces them to, we're going to stomp out the evil, stomp it out, stomp it out, stomp it out. So when it comes to that, the leader of the group that he put in charge, the opposite of Ichiban being Kume, where, the moment where Ryo Aoki flips sides and moves from the shadow, moves to the light, Kume's so enraged at that, he kills his boss. He kills his patriarch, Ryo Aoki, and kills him.
Yeah, and Kume believed he was in the light and ends up going into the shadow.
Yeah, he believed.
There's just so much crisscross of like...
It really, yeah. The story is amazing with the symbolism, and we could talk about it for days and days about how well it's written and how well they kind of represent the ideas and the ethics and the morality of each character.
Every idea from the beginning made it and fully evolved at the end. Like, there was no idea that was left behind.
Yeah.
It all made its way through.
Okay, let's quickly talk about some of our thoughts on the story here. Why don't you start?
So, the beginning was a real slow burn due to, like, the need for foundation. This is a experimental game, essentially, for them. Because before this...
All the other games are, like, brawler, like, kind of hack and slash style combat. And this is the first one they have.
That's turn-based.
Turn-based RPG, yeah.
And so they have to introduce the brand new character of Kasuga Ichiban.
Yeah, because Kiryu's been the character for the first 6 games, so now here's this new guy. We have to get into his whole story.
And so when you first start out the story, you're actually like starting off in like the late 70s, early 80s, because we're watching Arakawa grow up.
Yeah, you see a clip in the beginning about he grew up in like a theater background.
Yep, he grew up in a traveling theater background. His mother was very abusive.
Yeah, he had an abusive mother.
And his father loved him dearly.
Yes, his dad took care of him, yeah.
We get to see how that shapes Arakawa, and how Arakawa then shapes Ichiban.
Yep.
And so, like, this slow burn, like, it feels long, because it's just cutscene and cutscene and cutscene.
Especially the beginning, there's a lot of cutscenes.
Yeah, it's tons. But if it wasn't for all that build-up, the story wouldn't be nowhere as amazing.
That's the thing is like, yeah, all the building in the beginning helps set up that emotional payoff in the end where you find out all the information. You go, holy crap, right? No, what I always thought was some of the best parts of the Yakuza franchise is the story. It's fun. We'll talk about some of the goofy side stories and stuff like that later where it's like, here's goofy thing A, goofy thing B. Sometimes you're going to go gamble. Sometimes you're going to bowl against your most hated enemy, whatever, right? All these.
Sometimes you're going to try to play baseball.
Yeah, so the most ridiculous things, right? But the stories are always like, I'm in tears at what is happening, and they're gripping, and you feel bad for the characters, and people die, and you mourn their death. And
you really connect.
Yes, absolutely so. And I also think something that really stood out to me was Ichiban has an amazing attitude the whole time. Literally nothing gets this man down. The only time we really see him really lose the faith is when Arakawa gets murdered, right? And he has the legend himself, Mr. Kazuma Kiryu, has to show up and give him a pep talk and be like, hey, buddy, pick your head up, king. You got this. Let's fight. And
let me beat some sense into you, literally.
Yep.
It's just truly incredible how the game is able to like continuously like hold your attention. Like, you make the dullest parts of the game as dull as they could possibly be. Playing through the story, I couldn't remember a dull period. There was no bad part. Everything had a purpose. Everything had a fully fleshed out idea. Everything was there for a reason. And so all these, what might be dull parts of their stories really glow and shine within the world of Yakuza. And especially in the world of Ichiban, because to Ichi, everything is Dragon Quest. He grew up playing that.
He sees his life as like a hero. So like, yeah, when you get into fights with enemies, they like transform into these like bad guys. And it's even literally gamified in that they're called Sujimon, like Pokemon. So he sees his life as this kind of big video game.
I took some time and I was like, and this is all kind of like loosely based on Dragon Quest. Where's the slimes? Because the slimes are like the important characters, you know, as far as like grinding goes in Dragon Quest. They're in there. They're just guys in trash bags with different colors.
Yeah, the trash guys are good. Did you fight any of the sign guys?
Yeah,
Those guys are cool.
Guy.
They spin their signs around like helicopters and get you.
The big like brawler dudes that there's two different kinds. There's like the giant ones and then there's the fat ones.
Yeah.
And like one of them
with
swings
the
a giant
bottles.
like weeder around, just this giant hot dog that they're beating the crap out of.
That
you
one's
with.
good. There's a guy who holds like a 2-liter of soda who just spins it around too. The enemies are all so silly.
Every character, even the Sujimons, are just so well developed. We know who they are for the side characters. We know who they are. We know how they act. And everything just makes sense. Like, no one strays from how they were introduced. Hey, this is Psycho. She's the sister. She cares about her family. They don't get along, maybe. Ichiban's trying to help mend that. He's trying to bring them together. And, like, you have conversations, like, in the overworld. And, like, they reference back to, like, things you've talked about or things that have happened in their lives. I remember there's you're, like, going down near, like, the Survive bar. And there's, like, this little, like, fortune teller station. And Psycho's literally like, oh, my dad used to bring us here when we were kids. And it's like, oh, wow. Like, what? Like, who would have thought to bring their childhood in for a side character? Like, that's just unheard of. You know, I keep saying side characters. You know, they're essentially main characters still. They all take center stage. No one falls off the map. Everyone's there. There are some that I don't think got the screen time they deserved. They're characters that deserved way more.
Yeah, Junji and Zhao, you don't get until much later in the game, so you don't really get to experience a lot of time with them, unfortunately.
And Zhao's a fun character, in my opinion. He's just so jovial and, like, fun. I really wish I could have seen more with him, but it's just amazing how they chose to develop these characters and how that they stick with you even after you played the game.
Well, let's talk about our favorite moments in the game. I'd like to start. My favorite side story was the Baby Yakuza story.
Yes, go grab some hot water.
Yeah, which is like you're pretty much forced into this. It's like pretty much a story mission. They kind of set you up in a sub-story where this guy is standing around with baby formula. He almost gets robbed of the baby formula. Then they hear a baby crying. They're like, oh my gosh, there's a baby that needs formula around here. You go get some hot water for the formula. Where this baby needs the formula. It is not a baby. It is a fully fledged Yakuza boss dressed up as a baby.
With some of his grunts.
Some of his grunts at like this like kink fetish club where they all dress up like babies and get fed milk by like a hot lady. And so he's like, get him, boys! So then you have to fight all the baby dudes, and then you can summon him as like an ally later to fight your enemies, which is really good.
Yeah, when you summon him, the hot lady's like, oh, are you hungry? Don't you want to eat? Here, try eating. He's like, no. And then he just starts like rolling on his back, crying and just wailing.
Yep. And then my favorite story moment was chapter 13, 14, when you find out that Arakawa was actually your father. I found
that was insane.
Probably. It was insane. It was also like a very touching moment to be like, wow, this guy who pretty much took care of me my whole life and I viewed as a father figure straight up just was my dad. It's really like affirming in a lot of ways. How about you?
My favorite, I want to start with my favorite actual story moment because the side story, I want to talk about that. My favorite story moment is when you infiltrate the Omi Alliance headquarters where you reunite with Arakawa because you're fighting your way through this enemy territory and you finally come face to face with him again and like you don't know if you can trust him. Like your friends certainly don't. You are just like, finally, I can have a conversation with you.
Finally, I've been trying to catch you boys all day. I'd like to buy all your chocolate, please.
You sit Arakawa down, and Ichiban's like, I've been trying to reach you about your car's extended warranty. It's about to expire. No, it's just like this very touching moment that you're like, you can tell Ichiban's finally like at rest. He feels very like, I'm finally where I should be. And then you have the most insane conversation about dissolving the two families, about defending the two patriarchs,
Yeah.
plus your patriarch, and just like fending off like half of an entire clan that's already giant.
Yeah.
It like Ichiban's just sitting there like, I'm sorry, what? But an even more fun story is my favorite side story, which is called Ringleader Roundup. Now, what is Ringleader Roundup? Well, it's a single story that takes place over 3 events, where there's a traveling circus that comes to the park in town, and the ringleader's there, and he's like, hey, here's this bear. I brought a bear. Everyone gets to see the bear. The bear's in a cage. You're talking to the ringleader. He's like, oh, come pet the bear. Come pet the bear. She'll shake your hand, blah, blah, blah. And Ichiban's like, are you sure that's safe? Ichiban being like the only rationally level-headed character in this moment. And he's like, yeah, it's totally fine. Bear can't get out. You don't need to worry. And then the bear gets out. And he's like, oh my god, what we gotta do? We gotta stop. The bear's name is Charlotte. He's like, we gotta stop Charlotte. She can't get into town. She might hurt someone. She might hurt herself. And he looks over at Ichiban and he's like, go fight the bear. And
ridiculous.
Ichiban, for the most part, like he's kind of goofy, but he's pretty level-headed. There's like never a moment that he really like loses his composure. And in this sub-story, he's absolutely losing his mind. He's like, are you kidding me? You want me to fight a bear? Do you realize that I am a human? It's like bear's like 8 foot tall or something. It's made it huge. But anyways, you fight the bear and you win. He's like, thank you so much. I'll double check the locks, make sure this never happens again. And so that ends that sub-story. And then you meet him again a little bit later in the park. He's like, I have this amazing, beautiful tiger. I double checked the locks. Everything's secure. I bought a new one, so we don't need to worry. He's like talking with Ichiban again. He's like, yeah, you should come pet the tiger. She's very friendly. And he's like, she'll never get out. The tiger gets out.
It gets out, of course.
Once again, he's like, oh my god, we can't let her. She'll definitely hurt someone. She might get hit by a car. And he's like, he looks over at Ichiban again. Ichiban's like, no. And he's like, go fight the tiger. And prior to this in the story, you have fought a tiger once before, but you have to fight this tiger again. And Ichiban's like, are you out of your mind? Are you literally insane? There's no way you're having me fight a tiger. Anyways, you fight the tiger and you win. And you're like, okay, I swear to God, this happens again. I'm fighting you. So you meet up with him a little bit later again. And inside the cage, what is there but a chimpanzee? A wonderful, adorable looking chimpanzee. And he's like, I bought a highly technological advanced digital lock that cannot get undone without the access code. And he's like, this is Clara. She's a chimpanzee. She's very smart. She's very good at memorizing stuff. And like, you're sitting there, you're listening. And he's like, oh, we're going to do some tricks while she's in the cage. And he's like, she can't get out. There's no way she can get out. Clara gets out because Clara's smart and memorized the code and unlocked her cage. And so you have to chase after Clara because, she won't actually hurt anyone. She's a chimpanzee. Chimpanzees can hurt people.
I was just
in real
about
life.
to say, you say you can't. The monkey cannot hurt someone. That monkey could kill easily a large amount of people.
But in story, she won't hurt anyone, right? She's chimpanzee. She's climbing trees, blah blah blah. Until she enters an excavator that was left running by a nearby construction crew, and you have to fight a monkey that's running an excavator.
Fight monkey and excavator.
And the ringleader looks at you.
One last time.
And Ichiban's like, I will destroy you.
Gives you the Vin Diesel one last ride.
Yeah. He's like, go fight the monkey. You're like, just the entire interaction is just Ichiban just losing his mind again. And like, it's like the one point in the game that you get to see this entirely different side of him, where he's just upset by the exaggerated mess that's been made. Beat up the excavator. Clara runs back to the cage, shuts the door, and locks herself in. And he's like, oh, Thank you. You've done me a great service. I've learned my lesson now. And Ichiban's like, have you really learned a lesson? I don't think so. The ringleader's like, how about you join the circus, man? I could use you. We need people to get these animals back in cages.
I need you to fight all my animals all the time so I can cage them in the zoo.
And Ichiban's like, you need to leave or I'm literally going to fight you.
I'm gonna beat you up and put you in a cage next, dude. Done with this.
And the best part is at the end of all this turmoil you go through, all these crazy battles.
What do you get out of it?
You get to hire Clara, the chimpanzee, to help run your company management.
Yes.
Because Clara's smart. She can memorize stuff.
Dude, this is my company. I've got a chicken, a grandma, and a monkey. They all work for me at my food business. And it's totally fine.
Literally, management, we're going to talk about this in the other half of the episode for
Gameplay.
Yakuza Like a Dragon for gameplay. At one point, I had a 6-year-old, a chicken, and a chimpanzee running like a high-end hotel.
Let's go. How hard could it be, man?
How hard can it be? This hotel's making like 55 million yen a day.
Yeah. But I think that's going to be it for the episode today. We are, obviously, as Alex just mentioned, we're going to have an episode in 3 weeks. We're kind of bookending it. So we're going to have story today. And then in 3 weeks, we're going to have the gameplay episode. Talk about, there's a ton we didn't talk about here. All the mini games, all the different kinds of gameplay. What you would need to do to 100% this game, which would be so much. But I think that's going to be it here. Our next 2 episodes are going to be, one's going to be about garage sales, one's going to be about what to expect from your local game store.
Yeah, hopefully these can help you kind of find some games, score some deals, know how to talk to the people in your community.
Yeah, that's a big one. Be nice to people in your community. But yeah, let us know what you thought about this episode. Obviously, we just kind of did just the plot, went really in depth on it. Let us know if you like this format, if you prefer the all-in-one episodes, or if you liked our deep dive. Let us know what you want us to play next. If you want us next year to play some game, one of your favorites, do a long play on it. But yeah, other than that, please like, subscribe, leave a comment, tell your friends, tell your grandma. Grandma, you gotta listen to this. These guys talked about a Japanese crime game for like an hour and a half. So, Grandma, you gotta listen to this.
You gotta hop on that.
Hop on this, Grandma. You're gonna love it.
You know what? Just, go into your grandma's place, even if she's like, no, I don't want to listen to that. You're gonna go, I learned a lot from the crime families in this game. You're gonna log onto your computer, you're gonna turn the volume off, and you're gonna just play our videos on repeat.
And then, put the computer in sleep mode, but so it still plays. Grandma won't know how to. She'll be like, turn the computer on. You'll be like, no.
Yeah, she touches that computer like once every 5 months.
She'll be like, which one of these is the power button? You'll be like, I don't know. I guess you'll have to figure it out. Sorry, Grandma.
I think it's on the keyboard somewhere. Just, keep it until you hit something.
I think if you click the mouse 10 million times, it'll turn the computer off. Start clicking, Grandma. But yeah, please do let us know how this sounded. If you liked it. But yeah, if you need our email, it's down below.
Please reach out, contact us.
Yes, let us know if you like Kiryu or Ichiban more. You don't really need to let me know because I know you're all just going to say Kiryu anyways. But yeah, I think that's going to be it here. So good night. I've been Josh.
I'm Alex.
And this has been the Quick Save Podcast. Itadekimasu.
Itadekimasu. Hey, 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 hey. My name's Ichiban. I can't rap. I tried.
My name's Ichi. My life is peachy. Everybody knows you should call me
Ichi.
Squeegee. Don't call me Luigi.
Let's stick to our day jobs in this podcast and not try a rap career.
There is a breaker class. You can be a break dancer, Ichiban, if you really want.
All right, second playthrough. Everyone in breaker class. I'm gonna learn how to rap.
Let's go. All right. Good night.